Hello, streamers and streamers. My name is Alex, and welcome to Tech Tango. I'm coming to you from Stream Media in beautiful Miami, Florida. So, today I wanted to talk about something that is a little bit controversial. So, I'm going to hit you guys with the facts and a little bit of my opinion on this subject, and I would love to hear your thoughts as well, because to me, this is very mind-boggling. So let's dive right into it. So, as most, if not all of us know, on January 6th, there was an attack on the US Capitol, right? It was all over broadcast news, Twitter, pretty much every social media platform. And the FBI came out after this happened and asked the public to identify participants in the hopes of catching them. So, what if I told you that there was an app that you could use that scans someone's face and immediately tells you who the person is? As crazy as that sounds, that is an app that actually exists. Clearview AI is an app that you could download on your phone where you can upload a photo of an unknown person and instantaneously receive a set of matching photos that tells you who that person is. Clearview has marketed their app as a tool that lets investigators solve crimes instantly and save lives with a computer program that's like Google search for faces. So, other facial recognition technologies do exist and they are used by authorities. The difference is those take photos from mugshots and driver's license pictures. Clearview is different because its database of about 3 billion images are actually taken from social media profiles. So, multiple police departments have turned to Clearview to first identify criminals and then make arrests. Over the past month, the use of this app has completely skyrocketed as authorities have used it to identify the riders. Now, if you were like me, maybe some of you are asking yourself where you could download this app, or you could even be pulling up the App Store on your phone to download it. So here's the deal. Even though the app is being used by authorities, unfortunately, or fortunately, it has been taken down for public use. This happened last year. So let me get into that. This was due to a large amount of complaints and lawsuits against Clearview, which is not surprising. The ACLU sued Clearview last year, saying that the company, and this is a quote straight from The Verge, illegally collected and stored data on Illinois citizens without their knowledge or consent, and then sold access to its technology to law enforcement and private companies. Yeah, that's insane. So Nathan Freed Wessler is the senior staff attorney with the ACLU Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project. He had a comment on Clearview, and he said that companies like Clearview will end privacy as we know it, and it must be stopped. This menacing technology gives governments, companies, and individuals the unprecedented power to spy on us wherever we go, tracking our faces at protests, AA meetings, political rallies, places of worship, and more. The ACLU is taking its fight to defend privacy rights against the growing threat of this unregulated surveillance technology to the courts, even as we double down on our work in legislatures and city councils nationwide. So I think this is completely fair. And honestly, when I read this, I was surprised that they weren't hit with a bigger lawsuit earlier. But just the fact that this app, illegally collected data on, American citizens, stored it on their platform without anyone's knowledge or consent, and then sold that information to law enforcement. That's insane. So this happened last year, and then in May of 2020, Clearview released a statement saying that they will no longer sell its app to private companies and non-law enforcement entities. all contracts with companies that are not law enforcement would be terminated. So after all of this happened, they basically decided to stop the use of its technology for any company, no matter what the contract said, except law enforcement. So now that we know the background and kind of what the app is now being used for today, let's segue back to these riots at the US Capitol. So currently, Clearview is being used to identify those involved at the DC riots. So this raises the moral question that I really wanted to get to today. Should law enforcement be allowed to use artificial intelligence and cell phone data to persecute offenders? Honestly, I don't know. So this is truly such a huge moral dilemma, because the question that has been ringing in my mind this entire time is, when is too far going too far? So, no matter what side you may lean politically, some may say, yes, let's use it. That way we can arrest those who protest violently. Some people want this facial recognition to be a permanent tool for investigators and prosecutors, while on the other hand, other people say that it can be used to unfairly target minority groups, which is such a valid point. Like, just look at our history. This really could be a new way to just pick and choose who to prosecute, right? And it could lead to even greater discrimination and bias in the law enforcement system, which we already fight on a day-to-day basis. So I think both of those points are incredibly valid. I think if I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a second, almost, if not all of us, are on some sort of social media, right? Whether that's Facebook or Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, even LinkedIn. And we are living in this world where not only almost all of our data and information about ourselves is given out, but a lot of this is given out willingly by us, right? So, no one gave Clearview permission to take your photos and use them on the platform. But this is my question. When you willingly put your picture on the internet with a social media profile identifying who you are you then forfeiting the right to have control over how that photo is used? If you're putting it out there publicly for everyone to see and identify yourself? I don't know. I don't know. And, even if you do keep your social media presence, quote unquote, private, our entire world of social media and streaming is just all focused on data, right? Data is knowledge. Knowledge is power. And this world of data that we live in can be amazing, truly, because there's so much information available at our fingertips, which really makes our lives so much easier and so much better. However, this is a great example of when an amazing technology could be used for bad instead of good. I think an app like Clearview would be amazing to use to identify unknown people in hospitals or in accidents, or people who commit, sexually driven crimes and they aren't able to be located or found. But, where do we draw the line? What if there is a protest, even if it's a peaceful protest, and law enforcement uses this and picks and choose, to target minority groups in that protest and persecute them? Because it would be crazy to think that that's not something that has happened over the past few years or over the past 100 years. So I really don't know if this is an answer that I could give. This isn't an answer I can give. It's just something that is so relevant and something that's happening in our lives at this very moment. And I would just love to hear your thoughts on it, hear your opinions. Please shoot me an email or comments. And I would love to know if you think that this is a type of app and technology that should be used by law enforcement or not. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into Tech Tango. And thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys next week.